I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. Thanks for being here on Average Mics. And Average Mics is your average discussion channel with your average news, with your average updates, with your average, pretty much anything that's average out there. That's what we are here. And this is a midweek show, and hope everyone's having a fantastic day. We're just going to wait for people to jump into the comments and see what everyone's average life is up to on Average Mics. And just kind of opening the different windows and different streaming areas we're in. Oh, it looks like to be all working really well here, tickety boo. And yeah, okay, we got people jumping onto the YouTube comments right now. That's really good. And, here at Average Mics, we try to do our best because when we actually take it or we try to be serious about things, nobody acknowledges anything we say over the last 10 years. So we just kind of be more of an average channel with average news and average updates. And hopefully more than two people could jump on and we could get a conversation going. We got Sam in the house. We got 26 Gunter in the house. How's everybody doing? What's everybody up to? And bam, look at that background for Average Mics. Your average live stream. Oh, yeah. Now let's roll into what is going down here, folks. And it looks like we got one person watching on Rumble. All right. Let's get into a few headlines till more and more people just start showing up. And tell us what you guys been up to in the comments. I'll be taking a look and adding you to the conversation. And if we have time or if we could find someone, we'll call someone on the show. Like we do on Mike in the Night, but we'll keep it more average here, so to say, on an average platform. Like YouTube has become an average platform because you can't really say anything on it that matters. So that's why we try to keep things on an average level. So, all right, comments, nothing's moving in the comments. And we got nothing in the other comments. And we got nobody pretty much watching the show. We got 7 people watching across 3 platforms. All right, so let's go into some headlines then until some people want to join Average Mics, and we could talk about average events. And EU believes Ukraine is a very corrupt country, Politico. Oh, wow. So, like, they're actually starting to call out the war of attrition. We've been calling it the war of attrition, proxy war, money laundering hub of the Ukraine. Yes. Okay, here it is. EU believes the Ukraine is a very corrupt country, Politico. And here on the channel, we've been calling this whole fiasco there in Russia. We've been calling this whole fiasco what is it? Proxy war, money laundering, war of attrition. And if you haven't realized that everything around you and everything from your housing market to your digital cryptos to everything around you, wars, whatever you want to, however you want to bring it up, right? It's basically all money laundering. Your apartment rent is so much because of money laundering, right? The amount of money laundering that was poured into your city, turning your city into an empty shell. And forcing locals, average wage earners, out of their own country that they were born and raised and educated in because of this. So if you want to kind of get to the bottom of where we're at and why we're at, is because of money laundering, right? So criminals are trying to move their money around, and a lot of American politicians have been bouncing their money off of Ukraine, right? And then a lot of the crypto guys were using that SPX or STX or whatever that thing was. I'm just Average Mike. I don't know everything, right? So what else? You got your real estate market that was very heavily laundered in English-speaking countries, and that basically destroyed everything front and back, right? So it's all money laundering. It's all criminals trying to move their money around. So if you haven't got the whole war in Ukraine by now, then I don't even know what to say anymore. This is Average Mike telling you an average story of an average situation. So there it is. Let's full screen this here for you guys. EU believes Ukraine is a very rare corrupt country. You don't say. You don't say. Widespread corruption in Ukraine could hamper Kiev's bid for EU membership. That's never going to happen. It shouldn't happen. A Western European diplomat told Politico on Monday, he said Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky efforts to tackle the problem have also alarmed Brussels. Now, do you remember the prediction we made on this channel quite a few months ago? I said, how are they going to throw Zelensky under the bus? Well, there's going to be a way they're going to throw Zelensky under the bus, and it's going to be very simple. They're going to give him till Christmas of 2023. They're going to give him till Christmas of 2023 to take Crimea. If he can't take Crimea, they're going to stop funding him and they're going to throw him under the bus. We know, everyone listening to this Average Mike show knows that basically he can't take Crimea by Christmas. And I think that's a way they're going to throw him out and kind of put him under the bus and blame him for everything. Because there's always a fall guy, right? And whenever you're looking around and you're looking for answers, there's always a fall guy that's going to be the fall man for everything, right? All right, let's go back to the article here on Average Mikes. And Ukraine applied for membership in the European Union last February and was formally granted candidate status for months later, although European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is expected to address the issue of the enlargement during her State of the Union speech on Wednesday, and EU Council President Charles Michel has vowed to admit the candidate nations by 2030. Ukraine bid could be hamstrung by rampant corruption. And we all know it's all corruption, and we all know it's money laundering. We all know it's just this BS. Let me move myself around here. Live right here on Average Mikes. And Ukraine is a very corrupt country, and back in the late 90s and early 2000s, they were doing a lot of things to their own citizens to try and get something going, whether it was, well, you guys remember the peacekeeping that was going on there for a bit, and then there was a little bit of quietness, and then there was a little bit of that financial scandal in the early 2000s, and a lot of shadow banking problems, money laundering. And the proposal in question was raised by Zelensky last month following a purge of allegedly corrupt officials at the Ukraine Ministry of Defense. Zelensky announced that he would task the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, with probing and prosecuting corruption cases, taking investigative power away from the country's multiple anti-graft agencies. So do you remember the Burisma scandal, where I received a lot of threats 3 years ago? When the Burisma, there was a prosecutor prosecuting Hunter Biden with the Burisma scandal in the Ukraine, and then Zelensky would bring up the prosecutor every time he needed more money. So Zelensky would basically dangle the prosecutor in front and say, hello, America, here's the prosecutor. We're going to investigate Hunter Biden. Well, every time the prosecutor came up and ready to prosecute Hunter Biden, America would send more money and bleed its people to death, and bleed multiple generations into the future to death because of the Biden crime family. And that's major. And it's true, and it's there. But what happened to the Burisma? The woman that was investigating the Burisma scandal. What happened to her? Well, she disappeared or was found dead a few months ago. Remember that? We covered that on Mike in the Night. All right, let's see who's out there in the comments. Hi, Mike and all. Zelensky. Guys, this is the ground zero here today of Average Mike. It may be a show I might do midweek for you guys, just average topics with average discussion from an average guy with an average life, with an average education, just kind of talking to average people. So trying to get a call back for a job is crazy now, says 26 Gunter. Stuck in the Yup of Michigan, and I am going to say these guys around here, I'm keeping their firearms. Who's ready for U.S. debt hitting $33 trillion? Oh my God, Spark Jive, is the U.S. debt clock going to hit $33 trillion? I was watching a Mike in the Night from 2016 or 2017 where the U.S. debt clock was at $16 or $17 trillion, or $18 trillion? I can't remember. It was 2016, I think it was. No. It was trends in the housing market from 2014, and I think it was 16 trillion or 17 trillion. I got to go back to the episode. That was crazy, man. Okay, we got Rick Hunter, sports, horror, and conspiracy. What's up, buddy? How you doing, buddy? No, Zelensky goes the same way. All the rest of them, all the rest went lead. House tricks, Mike, some important info on think you could do something more with its piece. Zelensky will have his nice mansion in Egypt and a very large harem of questionable aged young girls. Wow. Well, there's a couple of people here today in the comments on Average Mics, and there's nobody... Oh, somebody's comments on Facebook Live are blocked. Let's go over to Facebook and see if I'm even live on there. Let me refresh this. Sorry, guys, I forgot to check my Facebook to see if I was live on there. I did click the box for Facebook. Yeah, Average Mic. Yeah, Average Mics. Okay, let me go into the Facebook too, guys, so I can talk with you guys here and muffle that a little bit. So we got a lot... So we got a lot of, just so much, it's just an incredible amount of people in the comments. So we got an incredible amount of people in the Facebook live chat promoting, I don't know what that thing is called. I got banned off it too. I got banned off it. Telegram. I got banned off that. So they're promoting a page I'm not even allowed to be on. Okay, so Yvette is on thing. Sharon is on Facebook. Okay, good. So we got a little bit of Facebook following here. Sorry, guys. I totally forgot. It is Average Mics and just kind of being average and average news and average discussion and your average, just your average whatever, right? Anyway, so what do you think of my average background with my average apartment, with my average ceiling and my average TV? Looks good, eh? So, all right, where are we going from here, guys? So we got this Zelensky guy here, and we know where that was going. Let's see what the RT is trying to tell us. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, but I gotta cover this one, folks. My friend, the amount of love I have for this man is just, it just makes me want to cry when I see his face. I don't know. I'm being kind of sarcastic. Who is it? It's Macron, my number one enemy on Mike in the Night. And man, just the hatred that spews that I have for this guy. In 2018, 2019, the Yellow Vest movement in France was to get rid of this guy. This guy's been reelected a few months, 6-7 months ago, obviously selected. And Macron wanted to become Emmanuel I. Now, the last Mike in the Night, no, 2 Mike in the Nights ago on Saturday night, if you want to join us, 7 p.m. Pacific time, Mike in the Night's open mic, and it's really vulgar and it's really sometimes off the handle. And it gets pretty intense sometimes. But hear me out. We covered that this piece of crap, you know what this piece of crap wants to do? He wants to get rid of term limits so he could remain in power. Because what's going to happen is if they get an actual administration that means anything and the people actually put in somebody that's going to represent the people and actually look at previous administration, fraudulent activity and criminal activity and all that stuff, this guy obviously is going to the gallows. That's what's going to happen, right? This guy's committed so much crime against humanity, so much crime against everything. So what better way to actually, I guess, progress in life by actually crowning yourself King of France? I guess this way you'll never get out, you'll never get investigated, and you'll never pay for your crimes, right? So on August 30th, a meeting behind closed doors took place between Emmanuel Macron and the heads of opposition parties in Saint-Denis, Paris. It turned out that the doors were not so well closed, and one aspect of the meeting at which the French presidency itself was discussed made it to the press. Nowadays, the French president can serve 2 5-year terms. See, that's why you had the Gilles de Jean movement in 2018, 2019, right? Then 2020, they pulled the trigger on the pandemic. 21, 22, okay, 5. Then now he's back in. He cheated back in. 23, 24. So this guy could go to 2028, 2029. So he's already trying to move the goalposts so he could stay in longer. So nowadays, the French president can serve 2 5-year terms. The head of the right-wing opposition party, National Rally, suggested that it would be a good idea to get back to 7-year presidential terms, as it was before. Jacques Chirac clipped them to 5 years, but with a limit of 1 term. The president will serve 7 years and then go back to civil society. Emmanuel Macron, according to sources cited by AFP and Mike in the Night, we were reporting this, answered that the limitation and the number of terms has been disastrous bullshit. It is not a question of the length of term, then it is a question of the limited number of terms. So Macron was calling it BS, because why does Macron wants to stay in office, as it's the most brilliant way to do it. Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand knew. She knew. So she took off. Scotty Morrison down in Australia, they knew. So they kind of took off when the time was right. But those like Justin Trudeau, all these people that are still in here after everything that's happened in the last couple of years, and if these people get investigated, it's going to be bad news for them. Real bad news. And that's what's happening there in France. And this Macron guy, all you have to do is this. I'll show you guys what to do. If you guys want to kind of do a little backtrack of what I'm talking about, all you have to do is go into your Google search and put a 2019 yellow vest. Okay, movement. 2019, okay? So that's before they pulled the trigger on the pandemic, right? Let's go to full screen here for you guys. There it is, 2019. And whose face is everywhere? Macron's face is on every sign. Nobody wants the guy. There he is right there. The country's burning to the ground, but nobody wants this guy in power. Nobody wants this guy, but now he's talking about eliminating term limits. So just go up to your little search there and type in 2019 Yellow Vest Movement. And this is why they had to pull the trigger on the pandemic. Hong Kong was out of control. Libya was out of control. Argentina was out of control. Chile was out of control. Mexico was out of control. Mexico was more of a cartel thing, but they were still out of control. Brazil was, everywhere was protesting. No confidence in government, right? So that's that right there, folks. All right, let's get back to your comments. Who's here this afternoon? Watching Average Mike. Mike, look and see what Prince Charles, France on the 23rd. As the fires controlled by a mountain. I haven't seen a video on you. How many of us will it take to unscrew ourselves from this mess? And Ronald's in the house. Let's go over to Facebook and see if anyone's chatting there. Yeah, we got some people chatting in Facebook. So we got a lot of, again, we're getting this group here from Telegram. I'm banned on Telegram, so it's just horrendous the amount of promotion we're getting. People are trying to promote on average channels, producing average information, producing average discussion. It's really weird, you know. All right, guys, this is Average Mike's pilot episode, talking about average things, average life. All right, so let's go back and see what else is let's pick on RT a little bit here. Let's pick on RT. Musk responds to Ukraine treason claims. Yeah, we covered that. Ukraine can go to hell. You'll give us missiles away. Nah, nobody cares. Morocco quake, death toll exceeds 2,500. China is too busy to attack Taiwan, says Biden. No, with China's youth unemployment rate reaching 50%, let me tell you guys something. It is, it's trust me, they're going to be throwing the youth into some sort of military. It's going to be some military involvement. There's going to be lots of military involvement there. Oh, we got some people in the Odyssey chat. Thank you. Jumping over to Rumble, we got so someone's saying I have a troll in Facebook comments. Yeah, somebody from other platforms are coming over and letting me know. Thanks, guys. It's Average Mike's. Oh, Vietnam and U.S. to announce new strategic deal. And, yeah, and chess pieces are moving. Saber rattling's happening. Everybody is moving into position here. And Brian is asking me how the fire and smoke is around my place. It's gone. It's been gone for about a week or two now. It's been pretty clear blue skies. I'm going to be running a few errands later in town, so I look forward to it. I just thought I'd do this midday show for you guys, just an average show from an average guy with an average life, with an average, average mics, right? Okay, let's move on. So remember, so today is the anniversary of 9/11 and visual history. Pray for us. And this was a very big government psyop against the people. And they obviously painted a picture what they wanted people to believe. And 9/11 divided a lot of people at the household because a lot of people were actually looking at the science and saying none of it made any sense. And then you had people that obviously bent the science, and a lot of the people that were involved in compiling the work, there's a lot of stuff going on, and Building 7 is never mentioned anymore. And if you guys don't know what Building 7 is a building that fell on its own footprint, and they never talk about Building 7 falling. They always talk about the Pentagon, where they can't find any wreckage of the plane, and they talk about, and days before in the Pentagon, there was a missing, was it $2 billion or $2 trillion? Guys, correct me. Was there a missing $2 billion or $2 trillion? And that plane hit that area of the building where all that information was being kept, like it wasn't being backed up, right? Right. So the whole world experienced the attacks of September 11, 2021. In real time, videos, photos, audio captured by the horror of the inflicted by the Islamic terrorists and the heroism displayed by the ordinary Americans forced onto the front lines of a sudden new war. In 2021, the mark of the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and to ensure that future generations never forget, Breitbart News assembled the following visual chronicle of the day that changed the world forever and the 2 decades of war that followed it. So basically, it was America's Pearl Harbor, America's way to get a foothold into the Middle East. And there's the Twin Towers. I, for one, got to witness the Twin Towers. I got to see them while they were up. I got to see them in all their glory. When I was visiting New York, I got to see them. So there it is right there, designed by architect Minoru Yamasaki. Twin Towers were famously erected here in New York. Look at that. That's beautiful. And of course, the thing got insured so many times. The audio of American Airlines emergency number was included in the montage released by Transportation Security. And the following video captured moment of the impact when the hijackers flew American Airline Flight 11 into the World Trade Center. And then they had pilots on, endless amount of pilots saying to do that, it's almost impossible to redo it. It's almost impossible to do it perfectly. There's just too much, people say, well, why are you doubting my 9/11, Mike? What's wrong with you? Look at the last 3 years. What's wrong with me? Look at the last 3 years, what you went through. And you're going to believe this too? And there it is right there. And there are the images right there. And they claimed that the jet fuel melted the steel. No, you should have seen the construction. Kind of wish they could show the construction of this and see how it was built. And there's George Bush there reading a book upside down to a bunch of kids. Then the second plane hits, I think it was, in between him getting And that should have just burnt right out. But yeah, look at all the people. Look at these poor souls that were victim to this. Look at this guy jumping. Really heartbreaking. And then right after that, they passed the Patriot Act. You remember that, folks? The Patriot Act was passed. And yeah, thermite. Somebody in the comments got it. Thermite. There was a company in the Twin Towers that when you moved into an office, they would paint the office for you free of charge. And you pick the colors, and they would go in and paint it with you. And there was powdered. They would put the powdered thermite in the paint, mix it in. You wouldn't even know it's there. And the thermite really, really did its job once it, yeah. $2.3 trillion was, says Rave Elevator, that was in the Pentagon that went missing. Thank you. And there's people falling to their death. And then there's the Pentagon. I don't see any footage of any plane, shrapnel, black box, anything. That was the room where they had the servers in with the very important, pertinent information. And there's the smoke. I don't see any plane debris, a fuselage, a wing, a bathroom, a piece of luggage. I don't see a damn thing. And today I'm listening to the news in Portuguese. I'm listening to news. And they're talking about the whole 9/11 thing. Oh, it's 9/11 and all this and that. Okay, fair enough. And they don't mention the Pentagon anymore. People are going to look at it and say, whoa, what's going on? If they want to stop people, like Building 7 didn't get mentioned. They stopped mentioning Building 7 like 8 or 9 years ago, I think it was, or 12 years ago. Building 7 is non-existent anymore. They don't mention that no more. So people forget so they can erase history for a better future, right? There's all the canceled flights. They could have taken those planes down if they wanted. And that's it collapsing into its own footprint. That's a controlled demolition right there. When my dad was alive, he knew right off the bat, because my dad's job, he was a torch man. But he'd go around, cut steel, and prepare the explosive experts for planting or setting up the explosives to create this effect. So my dad would go fly to different cities and stuff. They would look at the blueprints of a building. My dad would say, okay, we got to cut here. We got to cut here. This beam has to go completely. We got to move these two beams. We got to cut these crosses. And then this will allow, this is where the explosive should go. And that should allow the building to fall into its own footprint, right? So, wow, we got 70 people watching here on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Highways surround the Pentagon, 110 and 27. Added them as 137 is the 33rd prime number. They found a dump truck full near World Trade Center. Lots of gold was in the building. 7 was never found. Yeah, there was all kinds of monkey business, and they did it right in front of everyone's face. And they told you what the narrative was. And if you didn't follow the narrative, remember when George Bush stood on a pile of rubble and said, if you're not with us, you're with the enemies. So basically anyone that questioned anything that they told you, you are basically with the enemies. And then that started a huge Middle East conflict that went on. It's still going on, and it's been an absolute disaster. And that's my point of view. I'm Average Mike with an average education and average reading level with an average nothing. And that's just my point of view, what I think happened on 9/11. And very sad to see that America needed a Pearl Harbor. And it's very sad to see how many lives were lost to get what they want. This is like chess. You know, in chess, you got a chess move where you have to sacrifice a pawn or two. You sacrifice 1 or 2 pawns to move yourself ahead in the game. And then you get your knights out, and then you get your rooks out, and then you get your queen moving around. Well, they're using people as pawns in their vicious game, or vicious wars And it's really sad. It's really good that they made this montage of images here, so people could see what happened, how it happened. And sorry guys, it sounds like somebody's at my door, and I don't know. Like, I don't know. Give me a sec, folks. Sounds like someone's at my door here. Okay. Fish up, Porta. Lock the door. Where's Julieta? Okay, don't lock the door. Alright, sorry guys. It's just my kid coming home from school. And who else is here in the comments? Big Rob New Zealand's in the comments. I remember that day clearly, says Rigor Mortis. Yeah, I remember that day. I was in Acapulco when this happened. I was in Mexico. And I was watching it early morning and watching the replays of what's happened. Yeah, these are just images that people were taking when they were out. Yeah, I haven't seen some of these images before. And that's that right there, folks. So this is a big, somebody says they were in Spain. Somebody was in college. Somebody is saying that HAARP was used for sure. Yeah. Somebody say that Trudeau's stuck in India. So, all right, yeah, Trudeau's stuck in India. That made me laugh. Thanks for putting that up, guys. Thanks for putting that up. All right, throwdown. Sheriff takes stand for Constitution. Won't enforce Governor Grisham concealed carry ban. It's unconstitutional, so there's no way. So they're trying to ban guns in America, and you guys know how I feel about guns. I mean, if the American citizenry unarms or disarms or gives in their guns, it's game over for Canada. Canadian liberal leftists want America to disarm. Because we'll go dark here in Canada. Canada will be game over. Once there's no more country bordering us that has an armed citizenry. I think it's game over. It's absolute game over for Canada. And, okay. So let's see what we got here. 9/11 we covered already. That was just my point of view. With Average Mike, right? Sorry, guys. There's just a lot of shouting in the house from the kids. Just, I guess, happy to see each other. All right. Here we go, folks. Freedom Convoy lawyers attempted to block Ottawa residents from testifying at trial. And Ottawa, the lawyers defending the two of the most prominent organizers of the Freedom Convoy protesters attempted to block 8 local Ottawa witnesses from taking a stand on Monday in debate that underscores one of the central legal disputes in the trial. So we were covering the whole Freedom Convoy on our backup channel. It's called Mike in the Night and all live streams. Our main channel got taken the day of... our main YouTube channel was taken down the day of the convoy. And the day the convoy left Winnipeg, they blocked me from posting anything on any of my social media. But we had our backup channel, which was there nicely. And unfortunately, a lot of other YouTube channels and a lot of post-COVID heroes that came after COVID, like a lot of heroes and stuff, just took our information and videos and used them for themselves and didn't even give us a little plug. So this is our footage here, guys. So this is our footage here on the ground. I think this was Linny Poo that was filming this on the ground. Yeah, Linny Poo reporting for Mike in the Night.
They definitely...
Yeah, I could hear her voice there. And then a lot of other news sources and other news media and other YouTube channels and other heroes went to our little channel with 1,000 subscribers and stole all our footage from us. And it's really sad that there's just no honor when it comes to word salads and plugs and all these years doing it. And we have lots of videos like this that are ours. Watch this, watch this.
But the day will come, because this isn't going to stop. That's not going to stop. So we'll all have to stand up together eventually.
And we are peacefully holding space. We've got a whole bunch of freedom loving people peacefully holding space. Attempting to engage the officers. For the most part, from what I've seen, the officers. I can't believe that what you think you're doing is right.
The day will come, they'll stand with us. That day will come.
And you know what?
Because this won't end. Oh yeah, we are all Canadians. We'll stand together that day. We will. This isn't ending. This isn't going to end here.
So that's our footage there, guys, on our channel. Our channel was taken down the day after the convoy left Manitoba on the way to Ottawa, and we weren't given a chance to. I wasn't given a chance to put anything on any social media platform, and then they reinstated my channel right after the convoy was dispersed. So, just thought I'd share that. That was from Mike of the Night. So if you want to see this footage, it's on Mike of the Night and all live streams. Our backup channel that we have to sometimes resort to when we're kicked off of social media for a while. All right, let's go back to your comments, folks. Let's see what's going on in your neck of the woods. You're tuned into Average Mike, your average guy with an average discussion, with average education, and an average shirt, and an average basement. So, do people understand that all government, even Putin and China and the UNWF playboard? Yes, it's all one. It's all in one. All in one. No one's coming to save you. Watch my Pierre Poilievre video. No one's coming to save you, Canada. Nobody. So, Pamela Page is in the comments. Hey, Average Mike, I've been listening since the start, but I was driving and couldn't comment. Yeah, don't worry. No worries. I know you're here. Everyone's here. And it's Average Mike's. I don't know. Maybe I'll throw in a midday show once in a while for you guys just to be here, just to talk about some current midweek average events that are happening to our average lives on Average Mike. In our average situations. And someone says, I love your average floor model TV. Yeah, it's the, what is that? Is that a Zenith? I can't tell. Is that a Zenith? I don't know. Is that Sony? I can't tell. It was Sony behind me there. I'm not sure. Okay, let's go into a few more things. Iran sees no obstacles in way of renewing JCPOA revival talks, says top negotiator. Iran determined to boost ties with Saudi Arabia. And if Iran and Saudi Arabia get together and boost ties, this is bad news for America, because America and Saudi Arabia have been holding hands for a long time. And if they boost ties, they're going to be only left with Israel, folks. All right, let's see what else. Let's see what Zero Hedge is. Okay, we got something here. We were covering this, and we had a caller call in and tell us that there was one slave in California or something. So, reparations backlash. California voters oppose unfair cash payments for slavery, according to Berkeley poll. The sprawling social experiment known as California faces an uphill battle of reparations after a new poll from UC Berkeley and LA Times revealed that voters overwhelmingly opposed the idea of cash payments for black descendants of slaves by 2-to-1 margin. So, and watch when people wake up to the fact that the whole Civil War wasn't about freeing slaves. It was nothing about slavery. That was put in after the Civil War. It was about the crown. It was all about secession. Anybody who wants to secede nowadays, you're a racist, right? You're a racist for seceding, right? So that it's all economics. It's all about the military-industrial complex, and it's all about control of Europe. Europe controlling the West. Let's see what we got here. The raw, uncensored reason why we invaded Iraq. Again, September 11th. It's the September 11th anniversary today. IPO renaissance, not so clear. NASDAQ led the gains in Catalyst Light Session. Newsquawk Asia PAC market open. China new credit rebounds sharply on surge in new mortgage loans. Again, China's ghost cities are not going to bail them out of this anymore. They got, 30 or 40 million apartments in China that are just sitting there decaying. And we covered this in, 2013? We were covering the ghost cities in China. So, just reading your comments, folks. If you hear some awkward silence coming from me, remember, guys, this is just average Mike with an average discussion, with an average Rip Torn. I'm going into Rumble. Just going over to Rumble to hear what people have got. And Odyssey, yay! What's up, people? Hope everyone's doing well. And then Facebook. Who's on Facebook? Yeah, we got 6 people watching, I think, on Facebook. Yeah, 6 people. I guessed right. I actually guessed. And yeah, it's not midweek either. It's Monday, and Monday's my day off. And I was watching the Portugal match earlier. I think they ended up winning 9-0. So then I kind of, all right, what am I going to do for the rest of the day? I really don't want to kind of bum around till I have to take my kids out later. So I said, I'm just going to do an average Mike, start a new show, maybe a new different format, a new different angle, a new different look on things, I guess. Just an average show with an average callers with average comments. Right? And someone's saying that this television behind me weighs about 350 pounds. So yeah, those things are, I remember there was one in a little alleyway, so across the street from my house when I used to live on Roselawn Avenue there in Toronto. Across the street was like a mechanic shop, and then right beside the mechanic shop was a little alleyway that went back to some train tracks. And there was a bunch of these TVs that were just parked in that alleyway. They were junk. And the backs were opened up. And they were full of these little tiny light bulbs, like tons of light bulbs in them, like tons of different sized ones, little ones, big ones. And they were the ones like, for the channel, the color codes. So we were just taking them and we would throw them up in the air. We'd run away and we'd hear them all breaking glass. And that was when it was good it was good times then. It was when it was good times, when times were good and people cared for each other. People looked out for each other. You guys remember that? Do you guys remember when we actually cared about each other? Really, really. I'm talking really cared. Checked on our neighbors once, twice a week just to make sure if we haven't heard from them. Come home with some sad news from somebody. Something happened to somebody at work and come home with sad news and really care about it. And sit around as a family, right? Who remembers that? sitting around as a family, being together, actually listening to each other, caring about our neighbors, checking on our neighbors once or twice a week, talking about coworkers, bringing the coworkers home for dinner once in a blue moon to meet the family. When not everyone was angry and mad at each other, where people actually worked together to build a better society and work together to build better relations, so better just to have people on your side, to help you out through life. And it's really sad how we've come to this level, or this level of life where no one trusts each other. Everyone hates each other. People hate each other without even knowing them. Aggressive driving. Everyone's pissed off. Everyone has this chip on their shoulder. And I'm noticing so many people are angry because they felt like they were lied to. And especially the last couple of years, you were totally lied to. And now, people are projecting this hate. You can feel it. You walk by somebody, they won't say hi to you. They will look at you, and very aggressively. It's really weird. I don't know if it's because I live in a small town where you gotta, I said hi to someone the other day and they looked at me and said, "What?" And I'm like, I'm sorry for saying hi to you. I won't say. So I have never really said hi to anyone, stranger since then. I just, the aggression is so strong. And I don't know if you guys are feeling it where you're at, but the aggression was just horrendous. And someone in the comments is saying we were lied to. Yeah. Someone's saying, I remember those days. Back in the day, we could laugh at each other and ourselves. Yeah. I grew up watching the Jeffersons. I grew up watching Archie Bunker. I grew up watching Red Fox from, what's that show again? Where he owned the junkyard. And I still remember those days. Like, I remember coming home, my grandpa would be watching it. And we'd be talking and laughing. And, it's really hard. Sanford and Son. Yeah, Sanford and Son was the show. And now it's gotten to this... Nobody could stand anyone anymore, even though they don't know the person. Yeah, I got the comments catching up. Sanford and Son. Yeah, I love those shows, says Pamela. And that's, I don't know, maybe I'm just delusional. Maybe I saw life as on a different scale then, because I was younger. Maybe I'm just overreacting, that this was how it always was, but I was younger. I was very young. I was a child in the 80s, so maybe I did see it differently, and then that's how it always was, where people just didn't trust anybody, and people just didn't talk to anybody, and people just hated each other. I don't think so. Because I don't know, who remembers the block parties when you used to have block parties? Do you remember that? When people would get together and they close off part of the street, and they'd be playing catch on the street, and they have a few barbecues rolled out, and a couple other neighbors would notice and say, I'm bringing my barbecue too. And then sometimes if they didn't have enough meat, they'd send somebody with $20-$40 to go pick up a bunch of hamburger patties. Who remembers that, folks? Who remembers those days? I don't know. Maybe then you'd have Firecracker Day. I don't know, celebrating with firecrackers, and the whole street would come out, and everybody would be with one another. Everybody would be together on the street, and people would bring all their firecrackers, and we'd let them all off. I guess maybe, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, losing it, I guess. Okay, so we got a bunch of people. We got Carlos in the comments. We got Rave Elevator in the comments. We got Lisa CC in the house. Now people are pushing others off platforms into oncoming subways. Yeah. And one prediction video I did a few months back that I'm really concerned about. Yeah, people want me to revisit that whole... people want me to revisit the whole... euthanization because it's becoming a thing, and nobody knows why. None of these big celebrities that I called on a pile of celebrities into oncoming subways. Yeah. If they could help get this word out about this whole euthanasia crisis that Canada is facing. And I'm really concerned, folks. Let's type in, let's see what comes up. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. I'm really, really concerned about this one. This one here for Canadians. 1 in 10 Canadians will be euthanized by 2025. Governments will force anyone and everyone. And we made this video 5 years ago. And I did that SOS video for you guys following this video up. And it's really getting out of control. Let's see if the SOS video comes up. I just type in SOS on the channel. See, a serious message to Joe Rogan, SOS from Canada. And they're going to be normalizing euthanasia. Right? So they're going to be normalizing the whole euthanasia thing. And there it is. SOS from Canada. More people are dying with no cause of death reported. And I go into the whole euthanasia thing because it covers an article here that I think is very serious. And I think that people need to really take into account, where it has to come from England, of all places, that Canada is on track for another record-busting year of euthanasian deaths, with 35% jump to 13,500 state-sanctioned suicides. And remember, we kept telling you guys, 2024 is going to be the year of government-sanctioned murder. We were saying that back in 2020. We told you guys that 2023 was going to be the year of the coffin. Remember that? So 2024 is going to be the year of government-sanctioned murder. And it's right here, Daily Mail projection shows. And it ties back. So it's really serious because it ties back again to this video we made. 1 in 10 Canadians will be euthanized by 2025. And 5 years ago, I was already worried about this. I just picked this number out of a hat. Okay, 1 out of 10 Canadians will be euthanized by 2025. That's kind of going over, but you know what? It's when that was 5 years ago, by 2025, that's 10 years, almost like a 10-year prediction I made, or 8-year, 9-year prediction. Okay. But now we're getting there. And I'm truly seeing 2024 will be the year of government-sanctioned murder, and it's really concerning how this is happening, and none of the mainstream media is actually exploring any of this stuff or actually looking to tell people about this stuff. And it's kind of scary. Oh, here it is right here. Stop murdering us. SOS from Canada. Government-sanctioned murder by 2024. Right below the other video I made. And I'm just concerned. Am I overreacting? Am I seriously overreacting? Am I, So they want, so someone in the comments is saying they want maid services for the undesirables. That's homeless people, drifters, and people. And now they were pushing in Canada for people, if they're in debt or they're too much debt, they could basically off themselves. It's a really scary situation that we're in. And this euthanasia thing is going to be, they're going to mainstream it. You're going to see it on the side of buses. You're going to see it when you go renew your passport. They're going to be telling you that it's a good thing and people are doing it. And even though our lives are such a precious, unique gift that was given to us, this absolute beautiful gift, and people are losing it, or people are starting to remove or take away or be told that their gift is nothing, that it's nothing worth living for. It's not. And someone in the comments is saying you are not overreacting. So, and I still remember making this video 5 years ago when people, quite a few people weighed in on this and actually contacted me that why would you make a prediction like that, Mike? 1 in 10 euthanized by 2025? Why would you say that, Mike? Right? And that's what, 5, 6, 7, 8. What is that? 8, 9. So it'll be 9 years total by 2025, right? So, yeah, I'm just, I really hope I'm just losing my marbles here, and All right, another thing that I brought up that I thought was very major was this whole Canada being saved, right? Canada actually thinks it's going to be saved by a conservative government that's going to come in and save the world or save Canada. And I call BS on that, because if you look at all the replacement governments that have been going in, they're actually 10 times worse than the existing governments, right? So let's see if I could find the video I'm talking about. And fortunately, I have average spelling techniques. And it's kind of it's hard when you're live and you're trying to look something up and you don't know how to spell it. And I just wish people knew, that there's severely undereducated people there. So okay, so let's get back on pace here. So what I was talking about. So Canada thinks it's going to be saved by this guy here, Pierre Poilievre. And if you search across our channel, I already asked, I've been spelling his name wrong the whole time. A message to Pierre Poilievre. I made a video almost 3 years ago, and I was concerned that he was bringing up the housing crisis in Canada and balancing the books. And the problem that Canada has is, how did they actually think they're going to vote their way out of this mess that we've been in the last 10, 12 years? No, you're not going to vote your way out of this one. This is going to have to come down to a lot of groundwork needs to get done here. Because for them to balance the books, here's the problem. They're going to have to get rid of 80% of the public sector that gets paid six-figure incomes that has no idea what they're doing for the government. Secondly, they're going to have to stop all the money laundering and Canada's GDP. So there it is, Pierre Poilievre. And we talked about him here, basically saying, look, too little, too late. Now Canada wants to ban investors. How middle-class Canadians got sold out. So too little, too late. It's the damage is done. And you have all these new YouTube and Rumble heroes and all these brand new channels coming out telling you, look what's happening in Canada. Look what's happening over here. Look what they're doing to their people. It's like, we've been talking about this for over 10 years now, and all they're doing is glamorizing it and making money and feeding their families from it. Luckily, I'm not dependent on feeding my family from social media the last 10 years, because I would have died of starvation. So now when you look at GDP, look how bad things were in Canada. Great Canadian economic housing tsunami to affect everyone. GDP propped to housing California. So I was calling California, California. Canada's GDP is flat, but real estate outperforms mass exodus of youth from Canadian cities 3 years ago. Major Canadian real estate debt passed 76% of GDP. Mass inflation to hit by 2022. Tax hikes again 5 years ago. Mortgage debt passed 80% of GDP. Economic storm hitting. Major tax hike. So look at the year. 5 years ago, okay, 76% of GDP. Watch this. 80% of GDP 3 years after. So this goes back to 2 years ago. This goes back to 5 years ago. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. Canada's GDP needs more money laundering. So if Canada thinks they're going to vote somebody in, yeah, there's our Japanification thing that a lot of big channels took and ran with it and made clothing and stuff. Our zombification of Japan, that was taken from us. And people made a lot of money off merchandise doing that. And we even did it with Australia. Look, Australians, do not borrow your way out of a recession. The more you take, the more you will pay. So this is just for Canada GDP. So how does Canada think, or why does Canada even think that they could vote themselves out of this problem? This is a catastrophic problem. This will take a major war, like a major civil war. We're going to see civil unrest when more and more people, or are Canadians going to just euthanize themselves? What's it going to take? I mean, are people going to stand up? Governments want the euthanization because they want to get rid of the old stock Canadian, the people that actually built the infrastructure, the European expansion. I'm a European expansion from Portugal. We built these highways, these streets. We built Mississauga, Ontario, Oakville, Ontario, Cambridge, Ontario, Hamilton, Ontario, Toronto, Ontario. It was the European expansion that built the infrastructure, right? So someone says we need a tax revolt. And then Mermy Man saying we are so divided. And basically what they're doing is saving the rich. And then 2 is saying voting is not the solution. Mike is the greatest unknown Rumble hero to me, says Rick. Oh yeah, the Rumble heroes are great. Rumble heroes are great, guys. Let's see who's being a hero now on Rumble. I love going and check out the Rumble heroes. All right, so Rumble heroes. Okay, who's Rumble heroing? It's usually Saturday night you get the real Rumble heroes. So who's on Rumble? Who's a Rumble hero? Donald Trump Jr. There's nothing really. Ooh, 5,000 watching. I can't read that. Redacted. Who else? Rumble heroes. Sean Pennell. I don't know any of these. I don't know any of these things. I don't know who that is. And Revenge of the Sis. I don't know who that is. Yeah, a lot of Rumble heroes out there, folks. We don't even come up. Look, we don't even come up as live. Look. Average Mike's doesn't come up. Doesn't even come up. Average Mike's doesn't even come up on Rumble. Well, Rumble heroes are important too. They have to push their agenda, right? Okay, let's see what else we have in other news. Maybe we should get somebody to call in and maybe give us an update on Average Mike's here. I see Gold. Well, Gold Dust was in the comments. I just maybe see what's going on. Maybe get a caller in here on Average Mike. We could get an average caller in today and give us an average discussion on an average platform with an average audience on Average Mike. And probably get a little bit of a word out there from somebody and just maybe see what people are up to. But everyone's Skype looks like to be turned off. So let me just go down and... Ooh, looks like Gold Dust is here. We should call Down Under in Australia and see what the hell's going on, right? So maybe call Down Under. So yeah, China's in a lot of problems, folks. Okay, indisposed. So Gold Dust is busy. All right. This is a surprise show, folks. Ooh, Craig's messaging me a lot here. And Craig is... I don't know if he's there, though. Looks like he's not there. I got a few unread messages from him. Who else is here? Looks like there's nobody around. It's Average Mike's, right? So average calls with average discussion and average... Sorry, guys. Let me just transform this to fix this real quick here. Oh, I can't do it while I'm recording. Damn you. That's okay. Okay, who's in the comments right now? Silent Walk's here. Things will have to get catastrophic before people wake up. It will have to get them directly. And we were talking about the whole homeless... Now they're talking about, all this homeless, and they're glamorizing this, making videos, making a lot of money making videos about the homeless crisis. And it's really sad that, there's a lot of good, right here 6 years ago. So here's the problem. If people took a few minutes just to hear me 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, maybe we wouldn't be in these problems today. I'm a nobody. I know that. But if somebody would have saw this and this would have gone viral, this is like 6 years ago. So middle-class Canadians forced into homelessness due to money laundering and dangerous low rates. My opinion, I think with more and more of Canadians being bought out of today's real estate markets, we will see major affordability issues in 2018 and 2019. I'm not sure how far governments. What does this say? I got to see what this video says now. I got to see what this thing's saying here. I'm not sure how far governments will allow this economic foreign takeover to happen. Wow. So, wow. So now people are sensationalizing these headlines and making these videos and getting multiple million views, creating these channels overnight. I saw one channel that's not even 2 years old and these millions of views on the Canadian housing market and the guy's not even in Canada. So they're sensationalizing and they're making profit off of this, right? I was actually warning people about this. Now everything that's happening here is happening today. Right? Well, what did I get out of doing this back in these years ago? What did I get? I got spat on. I got made fun of. I got disenfranchised. I was hated on. Right? Now it's happening and it's like, well, we still hate you, Mike. So the 200 people saw this video here. And Vancouver is dying. Vancouver tent city dismantled again. Housing and basic affordability out of reach 6 years ago. And I was on the streets of Vancouver filming. Vancouver is dying. And economic storm of the century is here. Man. Mike of the Night, fake economy. Trends in the housing market, episode 125 with The Raven. Look at these episodes of Mike in the Night. So much information. That's just when you type in homeless. You type in homelessness, you get something else. You get all kinds of different videos we made. And this is really sad how these Rumble heroes, Twitter stars, I go on Twitter and I see all these people that are just blowing up. And I'm like, who are you? And a lot of these people were the people that were bashing me for making these videos 6, 7, 8 years ago. Now they're glamorizing it and making a living off of it. So someone's saying, man, I agree with some of this, of some of what you say. Do not fund them. Someone, Sheridan Forbes saying, every morning I bring food for a 56-year-old woman and a 62-year-old man who live in a tent in my area. The country's going to hell. Wow. The country is actually, it's going to hell in a handbasket. And remember when they had to drop rates? Remember this, guys? 0.99 new interest rates to save the day. We made this video 2 years ago. Never in history has Canadian bank advertised a mortgage rate with a 0 to the left of the decimal point. Fortunately, there's a first for everything. And this is it. This is when it really got bad. And I was warning people that when they raise interest rates, I'll type in raise. I got it wrong. Let's just fix this here. I got some slashes in here. Here it is. Bank of Canada will 500% basis points this year to start within National Bank. And even before they started raising rates, we told you guys that the creep up. It's really sad where Canada's been. We must raise rates to curb inflation. Economy headed for a dramatic collapse. Prepare now. 5 years ago. RBC. Now the banks are on the hook, right? So if you look at the banking sector right now and the bad books and the bad debt and everything that they basically rolled in, destroyed. RBC and TD will raise rates. Will there be a pivot as locals can't keep up with mortgages? 5 years ago. So anyways, let's get back to your conversation here. Let's get back to what you guys have to say here. Friggum Michael, no, I don't think we built either. Unfortunately, non-violent non-participation will only result in being steamrolled and we're outgunned. Yeah, and that's why I keep telling Americans, keep your guns. Keep all your guns. Buy 20 guns. So okay, we got our guy CC in the house down in New Zealand who wants to call in and maybe make a difference here tonight on Average Mics.
Right. Oh, hang on. How do I do this? How are you, mate?
I'm doing good. Welcome to Average Mics. Woo!
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, good. I pulled over just enjoying my average workday. Great
Oh!
show.
Are you driving an average truck?
Yes. You know, it's state of the art 1950. Has a pothole finder. It'll find every pothole on the road.
Ooh. Yes, the New Zealand highways are falling apart. Yes, that's Craig. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is Craig. He's been calling in to my live shows since trends in the housing market back in 2013, Craig?
I think so, yeah. So, quick update. Our gas in Auckland's gone over $3.10 a litre from 91. We have 91, and then you have premium for, like if you've got a Corvette, I guess you'd put premium in that. But for average cars, it's 91. So that's just gone over $3.10, and in some places $3.18 a litre. Diesel's sitting around $2 something.
Okay.
Food's gone up. Food's gone up again. Yeah.
Yeah, the price of food. So you're in New Zealand, so they're not fixing your roads, because I have the video that you sent me of the roads, and it looked like you were in some back area gang territory in Mogadishu somewhere. The roads were like I'm not talking about a main road in Mogadishu. I'm talking about like a back end gang infested area that no one goes out to. That's how bad the roads look like in New Zealand. I was actually shocked.
Yeah, no, that's the main road up that coast road.
It's a main road Craig, would that be the road that they would use for military traffic if there's a military problem and they have to move military traffic around the country to put...
Oh, yeah. Well, when you go to that peninsula, you either go in that way or you go up the other way through the gorge and over the mountains. But so there's only two ways in there. And I'll show you on the map when I get home today. I'll take some photos and... Oh, yeah, now I sent you a video of our Prime Minister, like everyone else, saying, oh, guess what? We didn't force anyone to take the vaccinations.
Yeah. No, they're playing, but we're on YouTube, so we got to be careful what we say here because they'll terminate my channel.
Right. Sorry. Sorry, Mum.
Yeah, they'll terminate my channel in a heartbeat. I'm not redacted. I'm not like some people are allowed to say certain things. I just can't say them on here, unfortunately. So, yeah, they're taking it back.
Yeah.
We told you they're going to take it back in 2021 on Mike in the Night.
Yeah. Hey, there's only one more thing I want to give you an update on now. You made a video about weather and fires coming up. Well, guess what they were talking about on the radio yesterday? Oh, wow, look at this, guys. Let's talk about the weather. It was all over the talkback. Let's talk about the weather because, apparently it's going to be a hotter than usual summer.
Okay.
And they were saying, it's going to be so hot and it's no good for the farmers. And this happened in 1987 and 1990 and it's cost us $200 million. And someone said, and if someone's having a smoke and they put it out their window, that'll start a fire. And I thought, come on.
Yeah, it's out of control. It's there. I'm telling you, down under where you were at, watch out, prepare, buddy, because fire seasons, you don't want to believe in climate change, they're going to burn you right out.
Yes. Now, just to speak quickly...
Arson season is coming.
Absolutely. And just to speak quickly on your point about, people and how people are these days and their demeanor, I personally think there's a spiritual war going on, it's almost demonic. And then you mix into that what Gerald said, that fellow always says, when people lose everything, they lose it.
Yep. When you dominate people with violence and they have nothing to fight, they have nothing to lose, they fight back. We actually stole that from the movie Fast and Furious 5, remember?
All right. Yes.
That's not our quote. We stole that from Fast and Furious 5. When you dominate people with violence and they have nothing to lose, all they have left is to fight back, right?
Yeah. So no, that's it. And just the other thing, real quick, Mike, because I know it's always good to get other callers in. Now we have our election campaign going on. So,
No, I think you need to correct yourself there, Craig. It's a selection.
Oh, sorry. So they're having the pony show, and you got to laugh because one of the big parties came out, and I won't say the name because we don't want to get told off, but came out and said, "Oh, what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to give everyone under 30 free dental care." But now we have a 3-year government term, but because we don't have the people or the equipment or the money, if you vote us in, we'll roll that out in 5 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people who said, yeah, we're going to build 10,000 affordable homes. I think they've built about 1,500 today.
Wow.
In
Woo!
6 years. Woo!
Woo! It's average.
Yeah, go.
So what do you think of average mics?
Get a whiskey, have a smoke, and watch it burn.
What do you think of the average mic format?
I love it. I want to hear some more from other average people. And, it's not good. Crime's out of control. All the usual stuff.
You guys have carbon tax there in New Zealand? I can't remember.
No, we don't. But don't worry because we just pay through the nose. Like, yeah, you cry if you... I mean, I know people who have paid, and this is like 4 or 5 years ago, $700 or $800 a month on their power bill.
Mm-hmm. How much?
$700 to $800 a month.
Yeah, I was actually, before all these Twitter stars and all these people and Rumble heroes, I was actually making videos. I could actually bring them up for you right now from 5-6 years ago. I was paying $500-$600 for electricity in my house, and I showed the bill. And nobody was listening. I don't know, Craig. Why do you think no one ever really listened to me or took me serious all these years? Why do you think, Craig?
Oh, I think because what happens is because we live in a world, and the way they've geared it up is that, like you were saying before about, people used to have street parties and people used to care. Yeah, but we live in a very hedonistic and selfish world because of cell phones and online profiles, and people can hide online, and
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot more in your face. There's this idea that, if you want to look after poor people, just say, for example, right, like in New Zealand, we have a pretty good benefit system. And if you want to do that, oh, no, you're a socialist. Oh, that's evil.
Conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Instead of saying, well, hang on a minute. How about when someone needs a hand and they're down on their luck a bit, how about you give them a hand?
Mm-hmm.
How about, how do you judge a society? By how you treat the people who are most vulnerable and needy, the elderly, the old, the sick,
Mm-hmm.
the disabled. So, and so there's this idea that's been pushed, like, well, if you don't make it and if you don't have money, well, that's on you and that's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
No one actually stops and says, well, hang on a minute, like you do, Mike. Well, hang on, I have to save, 50 years to get my down payment.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can pay.
It was 32 years in Auckland. When we were reporting that, Craig, that was during trends in the housing market. That it took 32 years for somebody. It was 32 years in Auckland to put a down payment on a 1-bedroom apartment, and that's if you worked an average income.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I love your video you did the other day of that, what a bargain that house was. Mike Tyson stayed in the front room.
Mike Tyson stayed in that house, dude.
Oh, I was crying with laughter, I tell you. I was so...
That was an opportunity of a lifetime, folks. That was an opportunity of a lifetime, that house in New Zealand.
What a bargain. It's got indoor-outdoor flow. You know, the dampness seeps through the walls. You can really feel the coldness. Back to nature.
Yeah. All right, Craig, go do your thing. I'll see if I can get somebody else to call into the show here on Average Mics and with the average discussion. Can I get an average woo? Can I get an average woo?
Woo!
That's an average woo tonight on Average Mics.
Thanks, mate. It's always a pleasure and a privilege.
Well, God bless you, Craig, and I'll probably see you on Mike in the Night, okay?
Yeah, you will. You will.
All right.
I'm going to do some work on my music too, and get some videos up soon. So.
Okay, bud. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. All right, that's our man Craig. This guy has been calling in for so long now. I think it was 2014 when he was calling in for trends in the housing market, I think it was. And then it morphed into Mike in the Night in 2016. But we're still doing trends in the housing market. So I was doing 2 days a week. I would do Wednesday night show about housing and the economic takeover. And then we would do the Saturday show when we do Mike in the Night. Right? And that was pretty intense. So can I get an average woo from everybody? Woo! All right. Yeah, that's Mr. Nobody there in the comments there if you're on YouTube. I think his name is Mr. Nobody 2 on Rumble for Mike in the Night 2. And wow, I feel embarrassed, streaming on Rumble. I feel so embarrassed. I'm looking at people here with 48,000 watching live right now, 22,000 watching. And I've never heard of these people before. Like, I don't even know who they are right now. I don't even know who any of these people are. Wow. Like, they have these huge audiences. Are these people just sensationalizing headlines? How would they, like, what do they, like, do they have a, anyways, I'm not gonna. Okay, let's go to Gold Dust. She is down under, and let's see what she's got to say to us here on Average Mics.
Greetings, Mike.
Hey, Gold Dust, how you doing?
I am exceptionally well. How are you?
Welcome to Average Mics.
Glad to be here. Glad to hear you online again.
Yes, I wanted to do a Monday show, I guess, because it was just kind of dead. The kids are at school, so it was kind of dead around the house. So I just felt like, just doing a live. Yeah, and I want to try this Average Mics thing out. Average news with average discussion with average callers and average, discussion.
Awesome. Getting back to grassroots. Love it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Because trying to be all technical and political and trying to make things make sense, nobody cares. It's like everyone's sensationalizing all this. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is sensationalizing everything, and it's not helping anybody when there's just sensationalizing headlines. It doesn't help anybody. They're not making any predictions. They're not putting their neck on the line. They're keeping it safe. And it's really sad, Anyways,
people have forgotten the fundamentals. There's more to life than just what you see, read, and hear. It's what you absorb in and what you make yours.
Right. And that's why we've been trying to connect the dots across the Commonwealth, and that's why you're in Australia, and that's why you're calling in to me here, and you've got obviously something you want to share with us. So, without getting me kicked off the platform, what do you have for us?
Well, I'm going to place my carbon footprint right down now.
Mm-hmm.
They've been sending people out now so that they can do all these back-burning arrangements. So Sydney's been covered in blankets of smoke for the last 3 or 4 days, knowing the potential of these fire dangers, as your friend in New Zealand had mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
The scrub and bushland is out of control because we had all that rain last year. So it's just fueled everything. my concern is that there's a lot of division happening amongst the populace in regards to this voice vote.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much being promoted for the yes that anybody that objectifies it is treated like you're racist. Why? Can't you see what we're trying to do? We're trying to elect a committee of 16 representatives who will govern all land, all water, everything. Hang on a minute. What happened to our constitution of being equal Australians?
That's right. That's very important, right? And can we take a glance and take a walk down memory lane?
Sure.
So here it is, pertaining to your country. Mike in the Night, Australia burns as leadership looks for a distraction to stop protesting 3 years ago. Now, this was on Mike in the Night when we were getting callers in from Australia and the burning and everything that's happening and the big fires. And we're talking the country was up in smoke. Now, I believe, and I still believe to this day, that they basically put you guys up in smoke to stop the protesting, because you were having protests in Sydney, Melbourne, up and down the Gold Coast. Perth was protesting, and I think even Darwin, even in Hobart, the whole country was protesting no confidence in government in December 2019, January 2020.
Correct. Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's where they started introducing laws that if you go and protest or go and make a public statement, you're arrested and chucked in jail for who knows how long. So all of our word has been suppressed now. We're not allowed to have any kind of formed protest unless it's government backed.
Let's talk
People
government.
Can't stand up and
Let's talk about protest real quick here. Now, during the fires, there's the video there we made 3 days after the Mike in the Night. Australia's water goes corporate while country burns. And did you know that there was a protest in New South Wales for people protesting against the water going corporate, and that water belongs to Australians, not to corporations? So you see how this all ties in really nicely? And that's what's really nice about Mike in the Night, is we have this damn track record right here in front of us.
Yes, and the reason why they were trying to corporatise it is they were suggesting that farmers were taking too much of their quota. And because they were finding different alternatives to extract water from different source, that's when the government stepped in and went, no. We have to regulate you. You've been given a quota. And that's how that all came about.
And according to this article I'm reading here, a multi-billion-dollar Singaporean food company is selling 89,000 megaliters of Australian water to a Canadian pension fund.
Of course. They've got to send the liability somewhere.
Okay, let's, again, down memory lane. Civil chaos and looting shops in Australia, shopkeeper in New South Wales. So these were the people escaping the fires in Australia, again, because they had to set the fires to stop people from protesting. Now, along the motorways or the highways, people were looting shops along the way and gas stations. Is that correct?
Yes, because out at country towns or little gas stops are very vulnerable because they usually only have one or two service staff.
Mm-hmm.
So they're vulnerable. But now the tables have turned. As we were talking before, the youth now believe I can do any crime, no consequence.
Mm-hmm.
They're now targeting major cities. So the little country towns are safer now to a degree because, only blow-throughs go in and attack little country towns.
Mm-hmm.
It's the more brazen ones who want to get their face on TV. Oh, look at me, I've done 3 robberies. Woohoo, I won't get caught.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, tables have turned, attitudes have changed. The youth of today, their attitudes are so different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was at a baby shower on Sunday and just listening to some of the conversations amongst my son and his age group, just so daunting to listen to the things that they have to put up with on a daily scale. It's just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So, and their difficulties too, you know what I mean? Like trying to get a foot up. Most of these kids are approaching 30 and most of them, 50% of them are still living with their parents.
Well, a lot of them are living with their parents because, again, the economic takeover of your housing market via money laundering. And it's kind of funny how you sent me a video on, remember that video you sent me about Australia being unaffordable? Let me just take the second to actually bring that video up, if that's okay with you. Because
Yes.
it actually makes a lot of sense, and I kind of want to.
Yes.
I read the international students video that you sent me.
Yeah. And the one that I sent you was listing the top, I think it was top 10 most expensive countries in the
housing
world.
affordability.
China was first, Sydney, Australia was second, and Canada came in third.
Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up, so you sent me this, and then it says Sydney ranked among the most unaffordable cities for housing, data says, right? So this is what Gold Dust sent me a few days ago, and then I sent her this back. Now, read the headline. Sydney ranked among the most unaffordable cities for housing. Inflation
Yeah.
to destroy middle class. That was 5 years ago. I made the same video with the same... Look at the headline, and look at the headline here. It's the same headline.
Again, they recycle. They go through these cycles. What can we do to hurt the Australian public again?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, prior Morrison. So, yeah, now we've got Greasy Albanese. And he's over up shoulders in India too with Mr. Trudeau.
Oh, yeah, they're fancy socks or rainbow socks is there. And apparently, from what I've been hearing in the comments, that he's actually stuck. He's actually stuck right now in India or something, or he's stranded or something. So
Good. They won't let him have any on-flight meals either, I'm told.
okay,
Detained.
so uptick in violence in Australia. I've been hearing a lot of accidents and car wrecks and all kinds of back and forth.
Again,
Am
it's our youth.
am I delusionalizing here from what I'm reading and seeing?
No, it's our youth. They are stealing cars and having speed races and all that kind of stuff. Again, on the weekend, one of my son's friends, he lost a friend, a boy and a girl, brother and sister over the weekend by a group of cars that were street racing. Their car got clipped. They both passed away. And now the Australian government has tracked down the owners and the occupants of the car, and they're charging them all now with murder because they failed to stop and assist.
Okay, whoa. Let me just take a step back here. They're going to charge the owners of the vehicles because their vehicles got stolen?
No, the owner of the vehicle,
Yes.
they claimed the car was stolen.
Ah.
So the father of the kids that were in the car, he claimed the car was stolen, but it was his own children in the car. So it comes back to that question, do you know where your children are? So if you know where your children are and they've borrowed your vehicle, then you are responsible for the ownership of anything that happens with that vehicle. So the whole family is now being charged for
Okay,
not
understood.
stopping, assisting these injured people.
My favorite from Australia was the one where a guy steals a car on one end of town and a guy and a girl steals a car on the other end of town, and they end up having a head-on collision with each other.
Yep.
That's
That's
crazy. The odds of that are so almost like impossible to happen.
Not if they're both in this idealism that they're in a gang of each other and they're against each other. That is pretty commonplace here. If you don't like someone, you'll challenge them somehow. And sometimes it ends up in devastating consequences.
Okay, let me ask, what is the more bigger affiliation type gangs that you guys see in, like, let's say in your area? Because, like, if you go to Alberta, like east of me, the province east of me, if you go to Calgary, it's predominantly Somalian gangs that are like in kind of like some of the bigger gangs there. And if you go to Toronto, you got more, it's predominantly more of a Chinese, and Vancouver's more Chinese predominant gangs. I don't know too many Canadian gangs. Like, is that like the same thing in Australia, or is it just a Canada thing?
Usually the gangs that are here are migrant based. I don't want to sound racist, but
You're not being racist. You're telling us what's going on.
with the influx of, we've had so many Indian migrants come in, and we've accepted a lot from Afghanistan. As I said before, we accepted 10,000, and a lot of them have I'm sorry to say this, but the males have this attitude of self-entitlement. They can do what they want, they can walk all over you, they can push you out of the way. And this is where the tensions begin.
Mm-hmm.
I had an episode myself. I was walking my nephew to school. I identify him as an Arab. He has 4 boys. I happened to look across the street and make eye contact with his son. Didn't utter a word. Within the next 5 minutes of me standing in front of the school gate, this guy was in my face, screaming his lungs out at me. "What'd you say to my kid? You're a piece of shit." And I just looked at him as if to go, "What is your problem?
Yeah.
Why are you attacking me like this? I did nothing. How sensitive are you?"
Yeah.
So in the end, I thought, well, you've just threatened that you're going to kill me. So I just went to the police, identified him. And the school said that they've had multiple issues with him and his children inflicting violence on the other children. And I went, well, where's their counselling? Why aren't they being pulled out and done something with them? This is unacceptable. You know, what happened to that idea of, you know, if you want to fit in, you have to behave the way other people behave, not infringe your rights on them?
Mm-hmm. You know, back in the day, I remember...
Lapses.
You know, back in the day, I'll tell you a little story my history teacher told us. He was telling us a story about exactly kind of what you were saying. Different, obviously different circumstances, but then a guy came up to him and started yelling at him in his face, claiming he said something and just screaming and threatening him. And my history teacher turns over and looks at his friend and says, "Somebody pick this guy up right now and take him to a gay bar right now." You know what I'm saying? And that's our history teacher telling us this. Get this guy right now to a gay bar now. He's going to blow up. So that's, you know, that's how the humor that we had back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we saw things, and we kind of humorized things at the time. But now it's getting to
we used to laugh it off, you know. We never took it seriously. Now it's, oh, you've offended me so deeply. I have to inflict the same hurt that you gave me back on you. But why? We used to let it just lie. Now it's considered as bullying. You can't bully. That's not how we operate here. And yet those kids go home because they're afraid to tell their parents that they are being bullied, and then they take their own lives because they can't communicate to anybody what they're feeling or what they're experiencing because they've been told, don't say nothing.
Yeah, it goes back to that. I don't know if you remember that Mike in the Night article we were reading, where German children were recorded and filmed kissing the feet of migrant students in school, and they were being beat up and punched in the face. We played the video.
It's actually funny you say that, because my nephew on the way to school today happened to say to me, do you know what chemical weapons have been used in genocide over the last couple of 100 years? Oh, my head flipped. I went, what? Why are you talking about genocide now? So this is very interesting. He very rarely talks about anything. And I have an interview with his teacher after school tomorrow to assess what they're doing in school, because there's quite a few things that, as I said, I'm a trained educator too, and I get bothered by some of the stuff they're learning. This is why I keep all these old books too, so I can point it out and go, look, James, this never happened. Captain Cook got murdered in Tahiti. He didn't get in his boat and sail away and happy ever after. That never happened. What happened to truth? Why can't we learn about truth?
Well, then truth leads to honesty, and honesty leads to good people and integrity, and integrity leads to good times, good government, good business, good everything. And once the whole
our kids not to think. We need as many critical thinkers as we can develop. Hang on a minute. Didn't Klaus Schwab say the new phenomenon is talentism?
Mm-hmm.
Talentism? Please define what that means.
I can't read, so I don't know.
Well, apparently, according to him, it's progress of the future via innovation.
So if you erase history, you could have a better future.
But that's it.
A big
If you
sarcastic.
don't tell anybody about, no, if you don't tell anybody about what happened all those many, many years ago, like all the 8 miles of hidden documents under the Vatican that they don't want anyone to know about, true human history, and how many cycles have been on this earth up until this point, well, they can just repeat the process, can't they?
Mm-hmm.
Reset, reset, reset. And that's what they're trying to do with us right now. They're trying to get us to a piece of, I don't know, somewhere in human history where there's no turning back.
Here, a little bit of erased history. I'm going to bring this up since you bring up, history changing. Here's a map of the Portuguese Empire in the year 1600. Look at that. Look at all. This is what the BRICS nations want to do. There's the Portuguese Empire in the year 1600. And why did the Portuguese lose all this? Well, because they refused to trade with the East Indian Trading Company with the British, and the British basically opened fire on innocent merchant trading vessels by the Portuguese, and that's why they basically lost the empire. No, this is not the French. The French came 300 years after this. This is. But if people actually saw this piece of history, they're like, whoa, that's impossible for that to be the Portuguese Empire. That's impossible. That makes no sense then, because the history we have about the French and all these people and the Dutch, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense.
That's right, and that's why I've always been curious about what is the date. We say it's the 12th of September. It's actually Tuesday here, 9:30 a.m. We say it's the 12th of September, 2023, but what year is it? It's an invention of the calendars that they brought in. Mm-hmm. And I've always been curious because my father, when I was growing up, was a Mason. And I've always been curious about Masonic architecture and how they linked back to the culture of Egyptians and all of that kind of thing. And then going to these buildings and seeing their cornerstone where it says built in a Noni year 5337, you go, what? But we're only in 2023. How can it be 5537 or whatever it is? I don't understand. And that's all based on their religion of them believing that we only go back 6,000 years and la la. But I always have questioned if the layer of the earth depicts the so-called history, then how come there's so many things that are out of place and don't make sense?
You know, they
say the first computer was invented in what? The 1900s? No. What is the Antikythera mechanism?
Yeah, there was a lot of computing technologies that were invented back, even during the time of exploration, right?
800 years ago in the temples of India, they've got in stone inscriptions of women that look like they're using tablets and mobile phones. Mm-hmm. So, and then if you've got the old paintings from the Renaissance period, they've got depictions of people riding dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. So this is what I want people to do. I want them to take what's in front of them and observe a bit further, dive deeper, be critical. I can tell you when I was at university, Mike, I got kicked out of so many lectures because I questioned them all the time. We were having a medical thing and we were talking about the neuropathy of the brain. Mm-hmm. This particular old geriatric lecturer was sitting there going, but the pain centres in the brain and blah, blah, blah. And I'd been following a German fella who'd gone to the trouble of extracting, we'll say, the whole arterial system of the brain and had them in glass and he had them on display. I was very curious about that. So I went and had a bit of dive into it. And I knew differently. I thought, hang on a minute, I've been watching videos of surgeons doing brain surgery on people that are awake and then asking them to strum guitars. Your idea of nerve centres are wrong. Why are you teaching this shit? Mm-hmm. Get out. Get out, go see the dean. They don't like to be challenged.
No.
Right?
No,
I made
billions and billions and billions of years ago. Yeah, right. You go look at the sediment in where we had the big volcanic eruption here at Mount St. Helens. I think it was 1980. You go back and look at the sediment and look at, like, it was completely wiped out off the map. And we even did a Mike of the Night special how we were debunking carbon and debunking global warming and climate change. That one eruption of Mount St. Helens put more soot and ash in our ionosphere as we did as humans in 100 years, the whole world. That
And
volcanic
so-
eruption. And
Yep.
a scientist actually saw that clip, looked into it to debunk me, and actually said it was actually 154 years of the whole Earth, not 100 years. So it was actually more than 100. So I was just throwing 100 out there for the sake of saying it.
Yeah.
But now,
Yes.
if you go back to that soot and ash and all the layers in the park is absolutely beautiful today. You would have thought that would have taken tens of thousands of years to rebuild Mount St. Helens Park. Today, it's undescribable. You won't even recognize the damn park if you go there today. And I'm going to type in Mount St. Helens so people can see what I'm talking about. And
That's the thing. Geology's a lie. Everything about what they teach you in geology is a lie. We have enough oil on this planet to sustain us forever.
yes,
It's just that they tell us that there's no oil so that they can keep us under this illusion that we've got to pay to live. There is oil reserves all over this place. There was one in Russia that they dug down, they siphoned it off, they believed it was empty, they put a cap on it, they came back a week later, it was completely full again. Explain.
it's oil is the lifeblood of Earth. The Earth produces oil naturally. We have an abundance of it, and I think we have thousands and thousands of years of use of it if we want to.
And
And
it doesn't take thousands and thousands of years to form, neither. So that's a big lie as well.
that's another big lie as well. They talk about fossil fuels. So, guys, here, take a gander at the images here behind me. There's Mount St. Helens, and that is the eruption. That is the amount of damage that was done. It is just absolute. Look at it, it just flattened everything as far as the eye could see. It just verticalized, horizontalized trees. It was enormous. It was almost like it was hit by I don't know how many bombs, and cars completely under a couple of feet of soot and ash. Now, geologists took a look at this and stated that this was going to take thousands of years to bring back. And now, if you type in Mount St. Helens today, and there it is right there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's you're getting all your greens back. You're getting trees back. You're getting all the vegetation is back. And they're mixing in some of the older photos of the damage here, but I just want you guys to see that it basically is like, look at all the trees. It's basically, it just jumpstart and restarted. It didn't take thousands of years. Now, if you go into the sediment, you could actually go into the layers of sediment of the last 20 years, and geologists today will go, this was 1,000 years ago, this was 4,000, this was 20,000 years ago at this period. No, this was all the last couple of years after everything got rebirth. Everything got reborn. This was a couple of years, the sediment. No, it's not. No, yes, it is. So all this stuff they've been telling us, geologists, it's all been a lie.
That's it. The Earth is constantly changing. Nothing is static. And we're like fleas on a dog's bum. If you can kick us off, we can get destroyed in a microsecond.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea is we have no clue of what's going on, but we do not need people like our Klaus Schwabs telling us that our days are numbered either.
Again, so
They
for
know
all
what's
you
coming.
for all you
Apparently-
climate
sorry.
all you climate nuts out there and climatologists or the fake climatologists. I'm not talking about the real ones. Mount St. Helens put more soot and ash in 100 years in our air ionosphere, in our blocking the sun, the whole 9 yards, than we do as humans in 100 years of total combustion gas that we use and factories and everything. So this one little event here, or this major event, caused more damage than we have as humans in 100 years. And I want to make that straight. I want people to know this. That this whole climate scam thing for the last, 10, 15, 20, I mean, it goes back to the ozone layer having a hole. It goes back to the whatchamacallit, the acid rain, ozone layer act, the global warming, Florida will be underwater by 2021 or 2012.
I was watching a very interesting person the other day who has been analysing things across history.
Mm-hmm.
He said everything started to change after 1973. So I'm trying to figure out what happened in 1973 that made all of these upticks happen. Uptick in population, uptake in debt, uptake in everything. And I'm sitting there, what happened in 1973?
I think they started fraudulating the data more and more in 73.
I think they sat there and went, okay, enough of this boom period, let's go bust. I'm sure of it. I'm sure. They just sat there and went, okay, well, we've come off the back of the war. We've given them 50 years to collect. Let's stuff them up now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I know what you mean.
The last 50 years, let's bugger you up now.
Mm-hmm.
And they do exactly the same. Apparently, as I was going to say with the geology stuff, there's talk going around the internet about a green comet that's supposed to be visible by now in the northern sky going through Leo. And apparently that's supposed to be inducing more natural disasters. Let's see, shall we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they're gonna have to point. There was El Nino. They were finding all kinds of different ways to basically put the fear into the people, to put the scare into the people. I remember when I was living in South Florida, there was a hurricane coming, and everybody, the news every 3 seconds, and this and that. And people are evacuating, and news and that. Everyone's freaking out, and this and that. And the hurricane came. I was sitting down watching TV till the power went out. Then I sat in front of the window and watched the hurricane go by. And when the eye of the storm hit, I went outside and watched the borealis, that effect of the middle of the eye of the storm. Then it passed away, and then it started to get windy again, went back in. 2 hours later, the hurricane was gone. And I don't know what the fuss and everyone was freaking out about, but it's...
That's because they watch too many movies, hun.
Oh, but the news was full blast that everyone's going to die.
Reality's not real. Everything's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
We've been programmed that way. Everything we see on the TV, everything we hear that's broadcast, everything is a lie. That's why I say, pick up a book, learn something.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to grassroots. And this is why your platform is very important, because it gives individuals like me the chance and opportunity to spread information just like you are. You're trying to keep us all informed.
Well, I'm trying my best. I'm not trying to lie or make things up because I don't have an agenda that I need to paint up. I don't have a future with the WEF, or I'm getting in a little bit of money from different platforms to stay on a specific agenda. I made $2,000 in 10 years doing this. So when people think that, no, let's just talk, and this is why. And that's why I ask people to share this. It isn't the greatest, it's not one of the best. But you know what? At least it's open, right?
Hun, where would we be without you? You were the instrument that pulled all of us together, us like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
So we applaud you because you've had the tenacity to stand in their faces and go, no, I'm running my own show. I play my own game. Thank you very much. If you don't like it, there's the door. Don't let it hit you on the ass on the way out.
Yeah.
But you stay... And you stay blessed, Mike. Always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Gold Dust. God bless you. Thanks for calling in and last minute there. And we'll get you back on soon enough.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that's Gold Dust from down under in Australia, giving us an update on what's happening. Man, okay, who else we got here? Doesn't look like anybody is available here. I'm just seeing. But, yeah, I just want to thank everybody. I just wanted to do an early afternoon show, and I'm going to run some errands now with my family. I've been on for almost, 2 hours now on Average Mics. And it's just a pilot episode. I don't know how much of Average Mics I want to do. It's your average discussion with an average guy, with an average life, with an average family, with average reading skills and average mathematical skills, and just your average mic with your average whatever. And so we got someone from Freising, Germany. You should call it. You should call in. We need somebody from Germany to call into Mike in the Night to update us on what's going on in Germany, because I know Germany's falling fast. Yes, everything that runs Microsoft, anything is going to go down. Anything is going down permanently. We got the throttle cracker in the house. He's stating that, did you know our homes are already half wired for free 0-point energy? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I heard something about that. I've been hearing things, on and off all the years here. Just different theories and different things that are... Who else is here? Okay. Who else is here? U.S. Navy, what's called Windows for warships as well. All right, guys. This is Average Mics with your average transmission, discussing average headlines and average colors. I appreciate you coming out, and if you could share this transmission and get this out there, and let some of the people know out there that there are groups out there, pockets of groups that have existed pre-COVID, that are not COVID heroes, that are not Rumble heroes, that are not sensationalizing things so they could get money and stuff and try to bang on or make money off of other people's suffering. We just want to connect the dots and figure out what the hell is going on. And that's why I make a lot of predictions. I make the predictions because I would like to warn the people. If I'm right, then I'm right. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Then maybe if I'm wrong, what if the people up top pulled back? What if too much word was getting out? You got to start thinking like that too. Anyways, guys, Average Mike here signing off, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. I'll see you guys Saturday night for Mike in the Night episode 422, I think. And we'll see you there. And thanks for watching.